Welcome to another episode of the Your Company Health podcast. Again, my name is Andre Wright, and today we have Jodie Lamb, a structured settlement consultant with Arcadia Settlements Group. Hey, Jodie, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Andre. How you doing today?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome, and I'm really glad that you are back on the podcast. And I know our audience is gonna really get some good gems from you. But to get things started, tell us what is a structured consultant, and tell us about talk to us about your journey.
That's a big question. So it's more about just not necessarily what I am, but what I do and who we help. So the journey is a great place to start. I started unbeknownst into this whole journey when I was a freshman in college. I started an academic career with a finance a finance degree with a concentration of insurance, but I also found myself in a car accident. An accident that was not my own fault. Someone had run a red light, T-boned me, hit a parked car, wrapped around a telephone pole. Not exactly your typical start of your day, but it really wasn't anything significant in my world. I got a new car, thought I was going to be fine, and settled the claim and went on my merry way. After school, it became evident that that was not okay. And so my back issues continued to progress to the degree that I've now had 4 back surgeries. So I give you that background as a little bit of perspective, because what I do is I help injured parties. I took that finance degree with a concentration in insurance, and I've been now in insurance for 25 years. What I do is I work with attorneys, with injured parties, with insurance companies, employers, with doctors, hospitals, when they're involved in a situation where someone has been injured and they're negotiating a settlement for their compensation of injuries. That could be a workers' compensation case. It could be a medical malpractice case. It could be just a simple liability, general premise liability, or car accident case. But when they are settling their case, the IRS says your payments are going to be made tax-free. Now, that payment could be made all at one time, which most people are familiar with. They just get a settlement, or they can be made over time. Now, the payments over time is where I get involved. It's where a structured settlement becomes involved. Because what we do is we customize payments to help people maximize their settlement. So whether it be planning for future needs such as replacement income, future medical needs, college planning for their children, retirement planning, whatever their needs are, it can be customized at the time of settlement for their unique specific case. Those payments will be guaranteed to be made as agreed upon at time of settlement, and they're going to be made with no tax ever on interest, dividends, capital gains. There's no fees, no costs. It is exactly what they receive at time of settlement. So we come in as a third party, neutral to everyone at the table, to help provide this option, help people understand what they could do, and to see if it's right for them. So whether or not they decide to work with us or not, our job and our mission is to make sure that people can make educated decisions when making probably one of the largest financial decisions of their life.
All right, well said. So you spoke about the structured settlements in terms of getting that over time. What talk to us about some key advantages of going it that way than to say, hey, take a lump sum payment and move forward.
Sure. Let me ask you a question here, Andre. Of the lottery story winnings that you hear on television, how many of them have like amazing outcomes?
Uh,
Right?
Not a lot. Not a lot.
Okay.
Not a lot.
So what about professional athletes? The ones that, get major signing bonuses, have the entourage. Have you kind of heard about the statistics of their financial woes over time?
Yeah, yeah, they lose that money in a heartbeat. I've
Right.
seen those statistics.
The statistics are not favorable. 80% of most settlements are gone within the first 5 years. So this is significant for anyone who has long-term future needs. What's even scarier is of those payments that are spent down, 20% are gone within the first 3 months. They have nothing left to show for it after their case settles. Now, this is problematic for someone who may need future medical care, or they're on government benefits and that settlement was supposed to cover their future expenses. They might need income replacement because they can't return to work, or maybe they can't return to work in the full capacity that they used to. So to be able to put that money aside for those future needs is unique to a settlement that involves payments over time. And not only do they have that peace of mind that they know where their paychecks are going to come from, or they know how they're going to be able to support their mortgage payment, or whatever that future need is going to be, they get that money tax-free. So if they were to invest that settlement outside of their money outside of the settlement, that then becomes taxable. What we do is we build it into terms of the settlement. So now they're going to get more for their settlement than what was agreed to in just a monetary term. So if it's going to settle for $100,000, they're going to pay $100,000. You're going to invest a portion of it, and that may pay over time into a number that's going to be greater than $100,000, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. You add zeros, you add commas, it's all the same conversation. It's about providing future peace of mind for people so that they can safeguard their settlements for years to come.
Right. And Jodie, you touch on I think a big problem that we see with athletes and other people, because what you're doing is great in terms of the structured settlement, but even with the structured settlement and people get this money in small amount, they may even blow that small amount. So it comes down to financial education, and I'm sure you guys and your team, would help people with that.
Absolutely. When we're working with minor children, the last thing we want to do is give it all to them. And when they turn 18, we all have been in those shoes before. There's money management lessons to be learned, and that doesn't always happen on that first paycheck. So when we talk to parents, we educate them about what their choices are. We explain, pitfalls of certain options and benefits of others. And ultimately, there's a conversation with an underlying current that discusses the fact that the propensity of our nature is to spend money. We're trying to right wrongs. We're trying to buy happiness, but it's a finite amount of money. So how do we make it last? How do we learn from it? How do we avoid making, a few bad decisions? And, for kids or even some adults, it's learning to get that payment over time. If they've never had long-term management money opportunities to learn from, this gives them that opportunity to get payments to meet their needs over time, as opposed to get it all at once and potentially have a party, an extra fast car, something that's quickly going to dissipate that settlement or that money, and not have anything to show for it, shortly thereafter.
Awesome. And Jodie, I know people may be watching and listening. Talk to us about a great a client outcome you're seeing, like an example of with a client, and you're beaming just from that client.
Oh, thank you. I love what I do. So, I'm like, off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, I could go this case and that case. And like, because everything we do, we make magic with money. We really do come into the negotiation of a very frustrating, point where, one party wants this and the other one wants something else. And ultimately, we want to make sure that everyone is satisfied and has a good outcome. One of the ones I was smiling about, I was thinking about a young man who we worked with right before he turned 18. He was involved in a catastrophic injury. He was actually at the hospital when the accident happened, and if it not for that, he wouldn't have survived. But after his recovery, he and his parents settled his claim before he turned 18. And unbeknownst to him, his attorney looked at him at the very end, said, "Congratulations, you're a millionaire." Now, earlier that morning, he was told by his parents to go put on something nice and get ready to go. He had no idea that there was a claim, that he was going to be sitting in front of a judge talking about his accident, or that the settlement was going to be finalized. And that settlement is going to provide him monthly income for as long as he lives. He doesn't have to work. He can work if he's so inclined. But the reason I smile with him is because we still keep in contact, and it's been 5 years now at this point since we settled that case. He calls us every time he moves. He changes his bank. He has a new side project. But ultimately, he's also calling me when companies are trying to buy his payments. A lot of people will know the term structured settlement by what they see on late night commercials or radios, or someone trying to buy future payments for payments now. And unfortunately, it comes with very high costs and penalties and fees, and they get a fraction of what they're entitled to. So we've been able to walk him through those choices, help him understand so he can make the decision that's best for him. And he, again, continues to sing our praises. Thank you so much for all that you do. It's years after we settled his case, but we know that he is still on a solid solid financial foundational path to be able to live his life with no worries.
And that's awesome, Jodie. Awesome. And that's why if someone is in an accident right now, they are in that situation, they need to speak with you on your team, because from that example, they know that you do great work. So Jodie, I know people may be listening, right? Give us some actionable things that someone should do when they find themselves in an accident. What are some immediate things that they should do?
Well, if we're going to go all the way back to claims, so part of my background before I got into structured settlement included claim handling and financial planning. So if you're involved in a claim, let your insurance company know right away, whether or not you're at fault or not. Give your insurance company a call. They're going to help you get through the first few days, trying to figure out if you need a car, figure out who the at-fault party is. If you're hurt, talk to you about, you might have med pay coverage or expenses to help you out of pocket. Now, if you're not at fault, you want to make sure that your insurance company is notifying the at-fault party and doing what they can to help you. If you have an attorney, your attorney is going to be the one to have that point of contact as opposed to you. So if your insurance company is involved early, they can get that filed on your behalf. If you don't have an attorney, you can work with the at-fault insurance company, to give them your story, and they'll, work with you going forward from there. But, when you're ready to settle your case, and if you think a structured settlement would be good for you, or something that you want to consider, always reach out to us. If you are an employer, if you are a insurer, or if you're an attorney representing the injured party, the sooner that you reach out to us, the better. Before the negotiation starts, so that we can help you understand what the benefits are, if it makes sense, and if it does, how to preserve that right into the terms of settlement. Because after the case settles, even in principle of dollar amount alone, you would be unilaterally changing it from a cash release to a payments that include, or a settlement that includes payments over time. So the sooner we're involved to be able to help you navigate those final details, the better. And even if you don't use our services, just making sure that your client has that information so that they can make educated decisions makes you look all the smarter.
Well said, well said. And thank you so much for that, Jodie. And I can't believe, we're running down on time here and we're getting to the end. But we're going to switch gears a little bit, Jodie. I'm in the digital marketing arena. What are your thoughts on digital marketing?
It is the wave of the future. I can't not be here today if it not for that. And quite frankly, after COVID, offices shut down. I couldn't get FaceTime with people. So social media became my way of keeping in contact with clients, being relevant, to be staying front of mind just by sharing positive, helpful information like this, and supporting podcasts like yourself.
Mhm. Awesome, awesome. And another thing, and I know you looked at, is really tracking performance. Just another thing with digital marketing. You can see how your efforts are doing, and it's trackable. What are your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of people that don't look behind the scenes are missing out on who's watching, because those lurkers, the ones that don't comment and they don't engage, you'll be really surprised, or maybe you won't, but you might have that affirmation of the people that you're reaching are exactly the ones that you're targeting. So they may not be active in your feed. They may not be visible to others, but you can see based on the analytics who is engaging, watching, signing up for events, listening. And, when those calls come, when the case opportunity arises, that's your confirmation. So you just got to remain consistent and continue to get your message out there.
And that's awesome, and awesome. And we spoke about at the conference with see about vanity metrics, and sometimes people are looking a lot on the likes and all that. But when you're tracking properly, your analytics will show you exactly what you want to see, and who are the people that you need to go after. So I'm glad that you're aware of all this, and they know the importance of this arena. But I want to switch to this. I want you to talk to us about one thing that you know that you should invest in, you're not. Could be your time or energy. What would that be?
Yourself. You need to invest in yourself, because
What's that?
if you are not able to show up, you can't do all the other good work that you have in your heart for other people. So, like I said, you put your own oxygen mask on first. You need to make sure you're taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, eating well, trying to stay active, so that you're stronger and you're able to do the good that you bring to the world.
Well said. Well said. Always invest in yourself. You know,
Yeah.
that's a really really good answer there. Jodie, what's your favorite book? Tell us what it is and why people should go and get it.
Well, I'm going to share the book that got me on the social media. We'll tie this right back into the social media. #networked. I was reading this book on a Cabo vacation. It was Christmas week. I was just taking, some time off with my kids. And I was reading this book written by like 25 attorneys. And during the pandemic, they got together and they started just networking. And it went so well that they became friends. Their online connections turned into synergies and marketing and networking opportunities. They ended up writing a book about their experience. And that was the catalyst for me to get into LinkedIn when I got back from vacation. And, as of the first of the year, I've expanded into other socials. We're now on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. It's crazy how a book can change your trajectory. But that's the one that got me here today, in front of you today.
Definitely, I'll check that out. I always say your network is your net worth, and that's so true. Even with meeting, you guys at the conference, there are just some great connections, and we may never know where that go, because I mean, building a network is always gonna get you where you wanna. So I will definitely check out that book.
Yeah, we're always one degree away from the person who can change their life significantly. I mean, there's always that opportunity out there. So embrace those opportunities when presented. Lean into what makes you feel uncomfortable. That's where your growth is going to happen, and that's where it gets exciting.
Well said. Well said. And Jodie, before we go, how can our listeners and or viewers reach you? Where can they go?
Absolutely. I am all over LinkedIn. That has been my primary social channel since I read that book. But since then, I have expanded into the other socials, as I mentioned. So you can find me under Jodie Lamb or Safeguard Your Settlement. I'm also at safeguardyoursettlement.com, where you can find all my contact information and links to my podcast and posts and other information about structured settlement opportunities to help mitigate tax liability and
Awesome.
preserve settlements.
Definitely. And Jodie, I want to thank you again for coming on the podcast. You have been awesome. We learned a lot. And until next time, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon.